That is absolutely beautiful. Enchiladas outside Mexico. We're gonna get a spatula, want some plates, and find out.
Rockin', 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 rockin'.
Cool. Welcome to Cooking with Damon. I'm Damon, and this is my kitchen. This is where all the magic happens almost every night of the week. So I decided to export that magic to you, my friends and family, my loyal viewers. Today we're doing Greek, and it's one of my favorite foods, so to start things off right, ouzo. That's the ticket. Okay, so today we're gonna do Greek meze food. Pariah is a word in Greek which means the spirit of eating, the sharing, the conversation, the overall tone of a meal, not just the food. It's one of the reasons I love Greek food the most, so we're going to use our blender. We're going to make a delicious hummus for you. I'm actually going to show you a variation to hummus rather than just the normal chickpea sesame paste hummus. I'm going to switch things up and do a little roasted pepper and onion in mine. And we're going to do a nice tzatziki for starters. Then we'll do a couple of grilled cheeses, saganaki, halloumi, which is technically from Cyprus, but they speak Greek and it's in the Mediterranean, so whatever. We're going to use delicious Greek yogurt for the tzatziki. It's very simple. If you have never made it before, you'll probably learn to make it today and make it every weekend because it's so wholesome, it's so delicious, and I just love it. So without further ado, let's get started on the hummus because it's going to take the most amount of prep. Greek food is one of the healthiest on the planet. I didn't think you would believe me, so I went ahead and asked my friend Doc to go ahead and explain it to you. So while I'm getting these ready to go into the pan, the Doc will tell you a little bit more about the health benefits of Greek food. Over to you, Doc.
I'm not a doctor, but I play a medical student in real life. I'd like to share with you some of the benefits that can come with eating a Mediterranean diet. Beans, grains, olive oils, fresh octopus. What do these foods have that others don't? Let's look at lentils, for example. Lentils are rich in isoleucine and lysine. These are amino acids that your body needs on a daily basis to keep your hair dark and proteinaceous. And garlic. What about garlic? A recent survey from the University of Kyrgyzstan showed that garlic can significantly reduce the amount of atherosclerosis in the aortic valves of cotton-tailed, white-bellied rabbits.
Let me just show you a little bit more of what we need for hummus. You can pick up a can of chickpeas at any grocer. You can also get dried chickpeas and boil them overnight and soak them or whatever you need to do, but this is so much easier, it doesn't make a lick of difference. So we have chickpeas. We're going to need a few spices. We're going to use cumin. We're going to use chili pepper. We're going to use saffron to garnish it and also pine nuts to garnish it. So the first thing we'll do is just simply throw the chickpeas into the blender. A healthy dose of red paprika. I'm going to use a 1/4 teaspoon. This stuff's very spicy. 1 teaspoon of cumin. Okay. Pan's about hot, so we're going to go ahead and throw those in. Okay, so you only need to let these go for about 3 to 4 minutes. Like I said, you want the outsides just to be brown and charred a little bit. We didn't use any oil here. We just want a dry roast to get that smoky roast flavor. Now, as I mentioned before, hummus is a very simple dish. It's just chickpeas, a little bit of sesame seed paste known as tahini, but I think that it's so much better, and you get a nicer color when you throw some peppers in there, some onions, just to change it up a little bit. And while those are going, we're going to finish what we need for this. You're going to take the juice of half a lemon, and we're going to need 1 garlic. I use these delicious little garlic. I think they're a little bit better than the ones that just pull apart into cloves. Now these vegetables are just about ready. They're not too soft, they're not too firm. And I'm going to take them off the heat now and just let them finish cooking on the hot pan over in the corner there. The last thing we need for the hummus is some fresh parsley. I like flat leaf parsley. Of course, regular parsley is that evil herb which is always sitting on your plate at Denny's or wherever you are, and you never want to eat it. But flat leaf parsley, on the other hand, is absolutely delicious. So you can see I got a nice healthy chunk of it here. Throw that in there. And the last thing we need is the tahini. Tahini is incredibly important for hummus. It's sesame seed paste. You can get it at any Middle Eastern or Greek food shop or any major grocery store. It's pure sesame seed puree. It's very, very healthy. It's got a nutty flavor, and it's incredibly important to not only Greek cuisine but Middle Eastern cuisine. So you need to stir it up a little bit because the oils do separate. And we need, I think, about 4 teaspoons of this. So I'm just gonna go. Now the way I'm making my hummus with all these vegetables and such is absolutely wonderful. It's different than the normal hummus recipe. And I like to think of it more like a Mediterranean guacamole. So I've got my grilled vegetables. Those are the final. Okay, there we go. Okay, just a little bit of salt. So what you're going to want to do is just blend this up till it's a real nice thick whipped consistency. Like any good cook, you should taste it before you serve it. And it's absolutely delicious. So I'm going to set the hummus to the side now, and we're going to make tzatziki, which is incredibly simple, as I told you. You're just going to take 1 whole cucumber. You're going to take half of this container, which is 1 kilogram, and you're going to put that in the bowl first. And I'm actually just going to set this to the side. You've got a very nice base there, but we need to add to that. We need to add some garlic. We need to and we need to add some grated cucumber. Perfect. Okay, so cucumber to the bowl. Simple as that. Last bit will be garlic and olive oil and just a little bit of vinegar. And you remember I told you I like to mix things up. I'm going to use apple cider vinegar. So this is officially Damen's famous apple cider Greek Tzatziki. So that's a new one for you. I don't know if any Greek people out there have used this before. Okay, throw that in. And now we're going to need about 4 teaspoons of olive oil. Awesome, awesome, awesome. My tzatziki is probably the best tzatziki outside of Greece. The apple cider vinegar. 1, 2. It's going to give it that crisp, citrusy flavor. So that's how you do the tzatziki and the hummus. Okay. Yeah, look at that. There we go. All we have to do now is garnish this bad boy, which we're going to use a little bit of sumac, my favorite salad seasoning. My sumac comes from the Great Spice Bazaar of Istanbul. So if you're ever in the neighborhood, I suggest stopping by and picking up some of that. It's incredibly delicious. It's my favorite salad seasoning. Okay, so the sumac is done, and then the last bit of garnish for the tzatziki, the hummus, is some pine nuts. And that is my version of hummus. I hope you'll enjoy it if you make this at home. Okay, so there's our hummus. Garnish this after a bit of a ouzo. That's great. Gotta keep that in mind. I've got some cucumbers which are just sliced into half wedges. That's all you need to do for garnishing a tzatziki. Boom, 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 boom. That's your tzatziki. It's time to get to the Greek cheese. Because like I said, we're starting a grand meze. We're going to eat a lot of different foods at the same time. And one of those is going to be Greek cheese. I'm going to do two types for you today. I've got kaseri. Kaseri is a Greek cheese which you usually flour an egg and fry it in a pan, and it's absolutely delicious. It's one of my favorite cheeses, not just in the Greek offering, but in any cheese offering. We're also going to be doing halloumi, and as you can see, halloumi is called Grillkäse in German. It's actually just for grilling. It comes from Cyprus, but it's very delicious. I consider it part of the Mediterranean cheese cuisine, so we're going to make some of that too. So the first thing we'll do is just slice the halloumi up. Comes apart into two pieces very easily, and I'm just going to do it like about yay wide. That's a nice type of consistency right there for a good piece to grill. Saganaki, on the other hand, is a little bit more challenging, because we do have to bread it. That's perfect. So the cheese is prepped. Gonna crack an egg. Now it's important to add a little milk to that. Not a lot, just like that. Now we're gonna start grilling these in just a second. Our pans are almost hot enough, not quite. So I'll show you what we're gonna do with the saganaki. Just gonna soak it. It's gotta be coated on both sides so that the flour sticks. It should look something just like that. Now if this is hot enough, we'll get it started. Perfect. Medium-high heat. Should have a nice sizzle when we throw it in the pan. When the saganaki gets a little bit gooey, it's nearly done, because it will melt a little bit more than halloumi will. Voila. Grilled saganaki and grilled halloumi, a crowd favorite. Welcome back to Cooking with Damon. I'm still Damon. This is still my ouzo. So here we go with lamb kebabs. And I've chosen to make minced lamb kebabs for you, which is known as a kofta kebab in Greek. You've got some fresh herbs here. We're still going to use our parsley. We're introducing the fresh mint for the first time today. We've still got our alligator because we're going to make some chopped parsley for this, some onions, some egg, and of course, I made a special trip down to my favorite halal shop, which is the only place I can find minced lamb meat in Prague. It's actually one of my favorite meats. It's better than hamburger. It's tasty, it's delicious, look at that. We've got some skewers, we've got some seasonings, we got some coriander, also known as cilantro in the Western world. And I'm going to be starting off with a little bit of herbs that will be the basis of our seasoning for the kofta kebab. So without further ado, I'll go ahead and start off with some fresh coriander seeds in the mortar and pestle, which I picked up during my travels in Thailand. We're going to use about a tablespoon of each of these. Coriander seeds, here we are, and cumin seeds, about a tablespoon. Just like that. We're going to go ahead and put about a teaspoon of salt in there as well. We're going to go ahead and grind these up. That should be good. That's the kind of consistency you want. We are going to put this in the blender when it's all said and done, so if you don't get it 100%, then that's okay. You just want to make sure to break up the big chunks of the seeds. First, we need to get some of these onions and garlic ready. You're going to need 2 small to medium-sized onions, about yay big. We're throwing all of this straight to our blending pot. Garlic goes right in there. Fresh parsley, we're going to take a chunk about that big, maybe a little bit more. Like that, rather. And our nifty garlic chopper, again, you don't have to make it so small just because it's already going in the blender, but just a good head start. Okay. We're going to put the ingredients from our pesto. Wonderful. And the egg. Okay. Oh, I almost forgot the cilantro, or I'm sorry, the coriander. I'm just gonna throw a nice spicy pinch in right there. Before the meat. That's excellent. That's exactly how it needs to be. It smells wonderful. Oof, wow, it smells really good. Can't wait. Now the meat. Now the meat's already minced, but you still have to be careful not to get it too chopped when you do this. So this is more to mix it with everything rather than actually break it down. Okay, now on top of the meat, we're gonna put the meat seasoning. I'm also gonna put some fresh mint in, just a little bit on the top. And this is where I'm also gonna throw in the fresh coriander. So I've got my chili pepper for spice. I've got some fresh black pepper I'm just gonna grind in here as well. I got the fresh parsley, I got the egg, I got the mortar and pestle ground ingredients. This is all fresh and all tasty. It kind of reminds me of the time when I was in Athens with my boss. I believe the term is a brothel. That's Greece. Like I said, you don't want to completely pulverize this, so if you have to help get some of those ingredients in there, that's what you need to do. Alright, so we've got this delicious meat. You see the chunks of herbs, you see the onions. That's nice. That's exactly how we want it to be. So I'm gonna throw it in there and start making skewers for this. There's a skewer. And I want to get these things sizzling. So look at that. Now it's going to take about 10 minutes and you should turn these often. So let it cook for about 2 or 3 minutes like this so that it solidifies a little bit, and then turn it, because if you turn it before it's solidified and cooked through, it's going to fall apart and then you're going to be having, I don't know, hamburger helper. I do want to take a moment, speaking of hamburger helper, to tell my father that all of this delicious cooking which I've learned to do over the years was inspired by him. So these kebabs need to be served with something. I know that you're thinking to yourself, Damon, what possibly could there be? You've already given us great hummus and the tzatziki. Oh wow, it was amazing. It's the best I ever had outside of Greece, and I know it is. But I'm not done, because these kebabs are delicious, but they're not perfect on their own. So when we get these things going on the grill, when they're frying away, we'll do a yogurt mint sauce. We've got our Greek yogurt. You're only going to need about a half cup to a cup for this. So we're just going to... For this many kebabs, I'll go with another spoonful. Something like that. Okay. I'm going to put some lemon juice in here. The mint. About that much. Maybe a little bit more. I'm going to also put a little bit of salt in here, just a little. Some more of my chili pepper. It's going to give it a nice color. That's all you have to do. That's yogurt mint sauce. You want it to be a little runny. So this is my yogurt mint sauce. We'll leave that there. Okay, I'm going to garnish these with a little fresh mint. Just some of these guys is going to be fine. Mint for the mint sauce. A little mint on the meat. And what the heck, a little fresh cilantro for good measure. Whew. Okay, welcome back. I'm still Damon. This is still my ouzo. And we're on to the last portion of our Greek meze, the most important but the simplest thing to make. It's the pita bread. You can buy the delicious pita bread, this Greek pita bread, in most specialty bread shops. This is delicious, it's nutritious, and it's absolutely essential, because without it, you can't eat the hummus, you can't eat the tzatziki. It is easy to prepare. Most Greek people will prepare it with a little bit of herb seasoning on top of it, brushed with olive oil, cooked for a couple minutes on each side in a frying pan. I'm actually going to use Mrs. Dash garlic and herb seasoning. It's my favorite, and the olive oil that I like to use is Sitia. Sitia is, in my opinion, the best olive oil. It's Greek, it's cold-pressed olive oil, which I think makes a big difference. It's from the island of Crete. And if you don't believe me that Sitia is the best olive oil in the world, just ask my friend Nikos.
Γεια σας. Λάδι. Μεγάλωσα στην Κρήτη και ξέρω από καλό λάδι. Στο φαΐ, όταν μαγειρεύω, πάντα λάδι ελιάς. Και στη σαλάτα. Λάδι σιτία είναι το καλύτερο. Μην ακούτε άλλους. Ξέρω τι σας λέω.
Okay, here we are. We've got a hot pan, medium high. We've got a bowl of olive oil. You'll need a little bit of a pastry brush to brush the olive oil. You'll need a pizza cutter. And unless you want to burn your fingers on scalding hot olive oil, you'll need some tongs. So like I said, this is the easiest part of the meal, but it's the most important. Without bread, there is nothing. Now what we're going to do is take some of that delicious Cetia olive oil. You see I've got a brush here, pastry brush, and I'm just going to brush each piece. ElZee is a good way to wait away the cooking bread. Hear that crunch? That's how it should sound on each side. So this piece is just about done. Okay. This is phyllo dough, the traditional Greek pastry, from which comes the most traditional and delicious of all Greek desserts, baklava. Baklava is difficult to make, seemingly, but not quite so difficult if you just know what the steps are. So I'm going to explain to you first of all what it is really. It's sheets of phyllo dough, buttered and layered, with a nut mixture, which in this case I have some pistachios, I have some walnuts, I have some almonds. I have about 500 grams of nuts here, and I'm going to blend these up in my food processor with some cinnamon. I like to add nutmeg as well. And then we're going to have this layer of nuts in between the phyllo dough layers of butter. We're going to bake that in the oven, and we're going to pull it out and put a delicious sauce on it made of honey. I'm using local honey. I think everybody should use local honey. We're going to melt some butter. We're going to have some vanilla in our sauce. We're going to have some sugar in our sauce with some water. So there's not a whole lot to baklava, but the timing is everything. As soon as we pull it out of the oven, we have to pour that sauce on there. That's what's going to make it sticky, gooey, rich, juicy. And of course the zest of 1.5 lemons is going to be a part of the mixture that we're doing as well. So there's not a whole lot to it, but the first thing we need to do is the butter. So let's melt that right now. I've got a pot warming in the back here. Okay, so the butter, we're going to do the whole block. Nothing's better than melted butter. Okay, the butter is melted. So now all we need to do is take this off the heat. I'm going to pour it off into a container here. That's my butter. That's what's going to hold this beauty together. Okay, now that we have our melted butter, we're just going to set that to the side. I need to get the nuts ground up pretty fine. In addition to the nuts, we're going to put into the processor nutmeg. Here's the nutmeg. I'm going to go with about 2 teaspoons, I think. Maybe 2.5. It's feeling kind of crazy today. Cinnamon, I'm going to do the same. I'm going to do about 1, 2.5. There we go. And an idea just hit me on the fly that I should use some cloves. So I went ahead and put some cloves in my mortar and pestle again. So I'm just going to grind these up. Okay, all of our nuts, all of our spices are in here, and it's time to mix these up. Okay, let's see what we've got there. It's okay to have some chunks, but you don't want huge chunks. And I think this is perfect. This is gonna be beautiful. Okay, this looks really good. It's mostly ground up. We've got some beautiful chunks of pistachios, nice and chewy and delicious. So it's not all chunky, but it's not all powdery. This is perfect. I'm gonna say that we're done with this. Guys, we are ready to start the baklava process. The process which is, it's like being one with your food. Each thinner than paper piece of phyllo dough must be treated with the exact same kind of love and care. In fact, I should put a piece of damp cloth over this to keep this from drying out as I'm doing this. As soon as I slice this dough to be the size of the pan, we'll keep it covered with this. The recipe tells you to cut this in half to make it fit. It's not quite going to do it for me, so I'm going to cut it along the top and then about like that. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and put the damp cloth over this dough. This is important because this dough is so thin and so fragile. I think that's why most people have a hard time making things like kataifi and baklava, because this dough is just, look at that. This piece has been touching air for, you know, a few minutes and it's already falling to pieces. So, what I'm gonna do is butter the bottom of the pan. Just a nice layer like that. Doesn't have to be too much, just nice and greasy. I'm going to take my first piece of phyllo dough and place it on the bottom of the pan. And it just instantly absorbs everything. Now essentially what's going to happen is a lot of repeat. Butter, phyllo, butter, phyllo. Every 2 or 3 layers, I'm going to put in some of this good stuff. And I'm going to do that till this is all the way up to the top. So it takes a little bit of time. This is one of the reasons why this baklava is very labor intensive, but it's not difficult, and that's the main point. Just try to keep in mind that you need to put this cloth back over the dough more or less each time that you pull a piece out. If you do so, the bottom layers will continue to stay damp. Okay, I'm almost ready to put this in the oven, so that means time to preheat. It should be 350 Fahrenheit or 175 Celsius. Okay, so you can see that we've got about an inch of baklava. That's going to be a nice piece. You can make it higher. If you want to do 2 boxes because your pan is deep like this, then use 2 boxes of phyllo dough and make a mega baklava. But I can assure you this is going to be absolutely fantastic. We're going to bake this for 50 minutes, but before we bake it, okay, you have to have a really sharp knife for this, and you have to cut slowly so that you don't tear the top layer. Okay, labor intensive, time consuming, but as I said, well worth it. This needs to go in the oven for 50 minutes, almost 1 hour. So we'll wait patiently for this. If you have any of these little loose baklava phyllo dough shingles out of place, just simply correct them so it looks beautiful when you're done. The top ones are going to be a little bit hard to deal with because they're sticky, but try your best. Okay, while the baklava is baking, I'm going to prepare the sauce. In about a minute, I should be putting this on the stove. I'm going to mix the water, which I've got here next to my saucepan, 235 milliliters, with my 200 grams of sugar. Going to put that over medium heat in a nice saucepan just to get a kind of a sugary glazed sauce, just till it boils. Then I'm going to add in the honey, the vanilla, 2 teaspoons, and the lemon zest. So first thing I'll do is just zest this lemon. Takes a while. About yay much. Now let's get the water boiling in the saucepan. Okay, so over medium heat, you want to mix the water and the sugar. Remember, timing is everything with this. So as soon as we get this over a slow boil, and it's all disintegrating that sugar into that water, we need to get this honey, we need to get 2 teaspoons of vanilla, and we need to get the lemon zest in there. So we're on standby waiting for that to happen. It shouldn't be too long. Okay, we're almost ready to have this come to a boil. I see those little bubbles forming on the bottom. So I'm gonna get ready with my honey. That's just about to be boiling enough that this is the right time to put that in there. 2 teaspoons of pure bourbon vanilla extract. And our lemon zest. Now the trick is this needs to reduce and simmer for about 20 minutes now. Okay. Sauce is just about ready. Baklava is ready to come out. I present to you Damen's famous baklava. Now, like I said, timing is of the essence. We're gonna put our sauce in this container. Look at that. You hear that sizzle? That's the sizzle of yumminess. Lovely. Now that's got a lot of cooling to do. So we're not going to do anything with that, like eat it anytime soon, but maybe in 20-30 minutes we'll be able to do that. So in a nutshell, this is Damen's famous curly topped baklava. The juices are going to soak in there and absorb. It's going to taste delicious. Welcome back to Cooking with Damon. What you see here is our completed feast, accompanied with a little red wine from Greece. This particular Greek red wine I've picked up at my local Greek deli, and I think it's going to be a great accompaniment to the lamb kebabs, which are accompanied by our saganaki, our halloumi, making up our grilled cheese sampler platter, our hummus with grilled red and green peppers and red onions. I decided that the lamb could go with a little Greek salad, which is a very simple thing to throw together. You just slice up some cucumbers, a little green pepper, a little red pepper, some tomatoes, and of course some fresh feta cheese, and top that off with some crushed black pepper and some Sitya olive oil. We've got the delicious baklava with my special curly dough topping, which is of course optional if you don't want to spray it with water. We've got delicious pita bread to dip into the spreads like the tzatziki and the hummus. And I'm ready to eat this with my friend John the cameraman, so I'm gonna sign off for now and say farewell until next episode when we explore the delicious Italian cuisine from Damon's kitchen. Efharisto.